That's hilarious.
And it was a good time as I went on to explain like my reasoning and stuff. But yeah, that's a good. I'll always remember that line just from that podcast.
I quote that all the time. Yeah. If I had to pick like a legit favorite one though, it's kind of like changing topics here, but it would probably be Doctor Strange, just because like, not that I particularly like that movie, but I remember we watched the movie and I was like really going through a rough spot at the time, just like some things happening personally in my life, and I just like, without being like really honest and like super transparent about what happened, I pretty much just said like, hey, like I'm having a rough time, and like this movie helped me realize how not good I'm doing. And Kate and Kelton just like kept talking. Like, I don't even think they knew what I was going through at all, but they just talked, like, it was during the fall, and they just talked about what they thought about the movie. And, like, that drive home, I just remember, like, all the clarity that came from what they said that, like, helped me get through that. And, like, I still am, and I frequently think back to and reflect on and go re-listen to that fall-in segment of the Doctor Strange episode because of how much it's impacted my life, continually does, which I'm just really, really grateful for the two of them being there for me without even knowing it when I needed it.
And that's kind of what podcasting's all about, right? It's just doing something you really love, and especially when you're doing it with your friends, you get that self-reflection, and some of those things just make you feel a whole lot better. I know, like, specifically for me, I just got so much time on my hands, especially now, and I'm sure a bunch of people can relate with this whole quarantine thing. People are going stir crazy in their homes, and I find myself being really lazy. My motivation is down to damn near zero. I don't want to do anything. And then I listen, like walking around the house, kind of trying to figure out what to do. I'll listen to a podcast, and it won't even be about anything specific, but certain words or certain phrases that they use immediately click with me, and they make me want to do stuff like, okay, stop sulking, get up, make some food, go clean the garage, go do something productive. And that's kind of what it does for me. So, I mean, I completely understand as far as things resonating with you, kind of just getting you out of that funk in that time, and kind of self-reflection. And it's just, you guys are just living your lives. That's awesome. I love hearing that.
Yeah. It feels, I think the biggest thing that I realized that like I miss, but I didn't realize I miss, is that just being busy and having to really think concretely when it comes to this podcast. It just stimulates my motivation to where it brings it back to like a level where I usually have it, and I'm right there with you. Like, it's just really beneficial in ways that I needed, but I didn't realize I needed.
Nice. So what's we're coming towards the end of this thing. What's some of the stuff your listeners can expect from the podcast as far as growth, and what can they look forward to when they tune in for future episodes?
Well, like I said, hopefully one day they can look forward to Binge the Cringe. I don't know why. That's the silliest thing ever, but I look forward to that so frequently.
I do too. That's going to be fun.
But more honestly, as of right now, they can look forward to what we have two things where we have like our binge series where right now it's the Marvel movies where we binge through like a series or a franchise that's once a week. And the other episode a week is like a more relevant or random movie like we did with Jonathan. On our show, we watched the movie Contagion because it pretty much is a movie describing the coronavirus. But yeah, so just a whole lot of fun talking about movies. We laugh probably way more than anybody else should when we talk about the dumbest things. We just make each other laugh, which is great. But also, like I said, at the end of the podcast, trying to make it a little bit more meaningful, make us all better people because of it.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, thank you. I think obviously it's the fun stuff we get into, making jokes and whatnot and arguing. But I think one of the things I love personally the most about our podcast, including being with my homies and just having a good time, but getting into Fallen, because not only is it cool to kind of learn from the movie we're watching, kind of see the inspiration behind the director's decisions or how actors were able to portray a certain emotion, but just me being able to learn from the movie and try and apply it to my life, that has been, and just make it personal. I think sometimes we, especially nowadays, we distance ourselves from things like especially having to do with emotion, and so being able to make a personal connection with a movie where the director doesn't even know I exist. Really, I really enjoy, and I think it helps me just to kind of keep track, like we've talked about, like self-reflection, but also just set goals with my life, and hopefully, like Harrison has mentioned, just be a better person in the future.
Yeah. One thing I want to say to listeners or just anybody who really just wants to see what we have to offer is, one thing is just honesty. Another thing is just a lot more fun. The point where like you can really enjoy what we have to offer because we're just a bunch of goofballs. Like, you can make fun of us, like we don't care. It's a whole lot of fun. But one thing I want to point out is that, like, being able to reach out to people and make an impact and expand, like that, and just a small message that it doesn't matter how small you are or how smart you start with, you can make something out of it. Like, one thing I want to point out was, this sounds really small, but to us it's kind of a big deal. We watched Guardians of the Galaxy 2. I mean, we tagged James Gunn, the director, talking about how great of a movie that was, and he responded to our tweet.
That's awesome.
Himself.
Yes.
So I was like,
that's
what
so cool.
Like, we're three guys from Utah. Like, why did you think we were interesting to respond to? Like, out of all these people, and it was just like, whoa, like we can make an impact here. And so, just telling everybody else, like, you can make an impact with what you have, what you work with, what you got, and we're here to give you some good content.
That's awesome. Dude, that's so inspiring. That's so cool. Hell yeah. I'm looking forward to it, man. I know my listeners already know my podcast is all about positivity. And one of the main reasons I really liked what you guys do is because that like you said, I'm pretty sure everybody's almost favorite part of your guys' podcast is The Fallen, because it's all about positive or negative, depending on what kind of movie you guys are watching. But it's about self-reflection. And that's a lot of stuff that people don't do, but recently, because they have no choice but to be inside, have to do right now, is self-reflect. And you guys bring a really cool twist to it, really good positive energy to it. And on top of that, Harrison put me onto the whole Meals on Wheels with the Podchasers thing. If you want to just fill in some of the listeners right now about what that is, that alone kind of just sparked a huge thing of positivity for me to also help do this podcast, even though it's not just you guys specifically. But I mean, Harrison, if you want to explain what the Meals on Wheels thing is.
Yeah, of course. So podchaser.com, which is a website that is oftentimes referred to as the IMDb of podcasts, where you can go learn about podcasters or who a guest is or episodes or to listen to a podcast. It's a sweet website. But one of the huge things is that they have reviews. And so right now, until the end of April, they're partnering with Meals on Wheels. For every review that you put on a podcast, whether it's like the show as a whole or an individual episode, so as many reviews as you can get, they're going to, for every review written, they're going to donate 25 cents to Meals on Wheels. And if a podcaster replies to your review, they double the donation. I mean, they even got like some podcasting brands like Lip Sync and others that are donating as well. They're doing a huge thing for Meals on Wheels, which when I heard about was huge to me because, like I said, I sell Medicare. I talk to old people on the phone all the time. And a lot of them are affected by the coronavirus, and a lot of them have been calling and asking, like, what can Medicare do to get me meals to my house? Like, I've been relying on my son to go get meals, but, like, now he can't. Or, I used to go by myself, but I'm too afraid to go outside because of the virus because they're most at risk. So, anyway, Meals on Wheels is a great program that delivers meals to people's house, and you can help by simply leaving a review on a podcast, which I'm sure the podcaster, including myself, would appreciate, but you're also going to be doing something great for it. Just go to podchaser.com. Leave as many reviews as you can, and you're going to help out a lot of people.
Awesome. With that note, how I know you guys have said you guys have a bunch of different episodes that are releasing through the week. What's your schedule like? When can people expect to get an episode of you guys?
So there's an episode that is actually uploading right now as we speak, but they should be expecting an episode every Friday and Monday. We upload an episode every Monday and Friday.
Awesome. And last question, is there anything you guys want to share? Like anything that I should have asked, but I didn't, or that you guys had coming into this that you wanted to let other listeners from different platforms know?
Yeah, Iron Man is better than Captain America, hands down.
Those are facts.
Bro, don't even go there.
Facts.
Yeah, I actually wanted to ask you a question, Jonathan. What's your favorite movie? Maybe we can get it in our schedule and watch it ourselves and see what we think.
My favorite movie?
Yeah.
Man, that is a tough question. I like so many movies. I'll give you some of my favorite movies, just so you know, kind of, John. I love sci-fi, so I think one movie that gets a lot of people riled up, either they hate it or they love it, but no in between, is like Avatar. Like the James Cameron Avatar, not like the Last Bender thing. I really like that movie. The Matrix trilogy is awesome. The John Wick movies are amazing. I don't know if you guys seen all of those. So like sci-fi movies like that. But right now, man, my favorite movie, as funny as it is, I would have to say like Infinity War is one of my favorite movies. Because Endgame is awesome because it's all about the end of that chapter in the MCU. But Infinity War is just, the whole movie is about build up and action and lead up, and it's just packed full of action, and I love it. So sorry, Harrison. But if I can think of any that are like not as mainstream, I'll shoot it your way to see maybe if you guys haven't seen it and you guys want to do something on it.
Yeah, we'd love to have you back on the show too. We appreciate you letting us on our show. And I want to say though, I appreciate your podcast, Jonathan. When you reached out, I was like, oh, if we're going to collaborate, I should probably listen to his podcast. So I like downloaded a bunch of episodes, and it was just like so refreshing because I listen to a lot of podcasts, and so many of them, especially right now, are like, coronavirus that, people dying. I mean, which is true, and that's horrible that it's happening, but it's so refreshing to like hear something more positive. It's like, all right, there's, the world's not ending. There's still good things and good people out there. So I appreciate what you're doing.
Well, I appreciate you downloading and listening, and it means a lot. And I thank you once again for letting me be on your guys' podcast and being a part of the movie review crew. That was awesome. Yeah. So tell everybody where to find you, what platforms you guys are, if you have any other social media platforms you guys want people to find you guys at, everything and anything, so we can close this out.
Yeah, we're pretty much on every podcasting platform you can imagine, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever. Just search The Basement Binge. That is us. Yeah, we're on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all of the places. If you want to like talk to us, interact with us, we're most active on Twitter. Binge Basement is our handle. You can tweet at us. We'll reply if you have a movie suggestion for us, or if you think that Infinity War is not good to rewatch, I would appreciate the support. But yeah, you can find us at all those places.
All right, cool, man. Any last words, you guys, before we end it?
No, it's been good.
Go check out our podcast.
All right, I'll be sure to put everything in the show notes, links to all your guys' stuff. And once again, man, I really appreciate everything you guys do, and appreciate you guys being here. This is my first remote podcast, and
Thanks, man.
it was
been
fun.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad we got to do
Thank you,
it.
Jonathan.
Yeah,
So,
appreciate it.
Thanks, Jonathan.
All right, guys. That's it. All right, and there you have it, folks. I hope you enjoyed listening and were thoroughly entertained. Be sure to head over to their podcast and check out all of their content, as well as their latest episode, where I was fortunate enough to join in on a movie review via Skype. Again, this was my first remote interview, so if the audio quality isn't the greatest, we're still trying to learn. But again, please check out thepodchasers.com and just do a quick rating and review for this podcast, as well as many others, good or bad, so that we can help raise money for Meals on Wheels. I even made it easier for you to do so by listing everything we discussed in the episode in the show links below. So while you're there, be sure to subscribe to the podcast and maybe leave a rating and a review as well on whatever platform you're on. And if you'd like to support the podcast, give it a share. And if you have anyone in mind you'd like to be on the podcast, or maybe reach out, or a story or subject you'd like me to share in the